have evolved up to the last one of them, where everything is stuck at that last level of thought action we may call will thought action, or perhaps what Nietzsche would call the will to power. Our hero, Professor Noodle, fell out of a career in military medicine, having tried to conform. In the effort he took, assisted by the military, to make him a real man, the failure did something else. As he nearly died, he saw the Big Bang, or imagined he saw it, and he imagined talking to other beings in time and space who have the 12 thought actions fully matured, and learned of the unidentified but otherwise very good entity which formed the universe from 21 pounds of pure substance, seeking to express good and perfect creation in life. So, Professor Noodle, assisted by his new ability, which accidentally formed in the almost totaled experience, the power of pan-dimensional imagination, seeks to understand life and explore truth. These episodes are the continuing saga in the essay on existence by Professor Noodle.
Okay, and we're going to repeat the talk that was done the 5th of July, 2026 in Binghamton, New York by myself, Stephen Newell, also known as Professor Noodle. The title of the talk was Continuity of Intelligence. And I certainly wanted to thank the community for inviting me to give this guest speak on the 5th of July, on the weekend of the 4th of July of 2026. It was a great honor to receive the invitation to give this presentation. So the title of the talk, The Continuity of Intelligence. And basically, my life's work has been began with a sentence that has followed me through every chapter of my life, and that is that my life's work has been to serve the continuity of intelligence in beings and in the communities that sustain them. That idea has been carried through science work, military service, emergency medicine work, work in teaching, writing, and more than a few battles that I never asked for. It's the thread that ties together everything I'm about to share with you in this talk. The early spark, when curiosity meets responsibility. Young Stephen and early research topics. I didn't start out trying to solve the universe. I started out trying to solve the problem of suffering. As a young researcher, I studied how red food dye affected the development in the brains of young children. This in tangent with the research published by another medical biology researcher in Chicago named Dr. Feinstein in 1980. I studied how homophobia-driven aggression created real measurable health consequences in young men. In a survey study, statistical correlation of stomach ulcer with internalized homophobia. I had required clinical training with my military duties, but for my licensing, I volunteered in the emergency room of the local county hospital in a major city. There I saw the blood and trauma of people who had been beaten simply for who they were. This was in the summer of 1977. And I realized something early on. Intelligence isn't just about knowledge, it's about responsibility. At 21, I became the first freshman elected in the community college student government as president of that student government, and I advocated for the public education media of our college community services, advocating for safer sex long before it was politically safe to be speaking of this social work area of subject. I pushed for crisis support services for young adults having troubles, because I had seen what happens in the emergency room of the county hospital when people don't have supportive services. At the end of that year, the Student Senate gave me a plaque as an award, and it read, "For one who cares, for others who don't." And I was informed after the services of the honor awards of the end of the year that some of my student government senators considered that that the senators that put together that award, it was an insult to me and my leadership in the student government. But I kind of shrugged and said that I had took it as my mission statement, because caring, especially for others when others seem that they don't care, caring about it is how intelligence survives. Next is science, space, and questions no one wanted to ask. Topics on Mars, ribozymes, and early Earth chemistry in the mystery of how life began. My scientific path took me into biology and psychology and information theory, which is a kind of a mathematical field that uses computer science with medical research, and eventually into the mysteries of the nature in physical chemistry and physics, in reality, the nature of life itself. I questioned the MIT 1972 World 3 model, the computerized model that was published more extensively in '74, that predicted societal collapse by 2040. I questioned the population bomb novel by Paul Ehrlich about overpopulation destroying everything, and I challenged Professor Robin Hansen's great filter theory, which is in tangent with the Fermi's paradox question, which is in terms of looking for extraterrestrial life. The physicist Professor Fermi said, well, where is everybody? Because they were expecting to see FM radio signals or something out there, and there just wasn't anything. So I kind of challenged these things. I even called NASA during my graduate school work in academic biology in 1983 to ask why their Mars experiments in what they published assumed the absence of life when the data could be interpreted in the opposite way, the raw data itself. And I didn't get an answer. But I kept asking questions because intelligence grows through questions, not through silence. Later, when ribozymes were discovered, which was a major discovery in 1983, the missing piece of the puzzle clicked into place with regard to how the role of RNA might work in the origin of life on planet Earth. Suddenly, the origin of life wasn't so much a miracle. It was chemistry plus information stored in molecules in chemistry. Life begins with the information of life. And that relationship between those factors, that realization shaped everything that came after in my continuing career. I don't know if you can see that. I'm trying to get the light right. Opposition, danger, and the will to continue. Storm clouds and resilience. Purpose doesn't protect you just because it's idealistic and just because it sounds pure and it sounds, well written and visionary. Purpose doesn't protect you from opposition. I faced discrimination, institutional resistance, and in 1983, even an attack that changed the course of my life. The legal and medical aftermath lasted years, but I didn't share that for sympathy. I didn't share that with anybody for sympathy. The reason I would share it is because it's kind of a lesson to me, and it's kind of an example of something that's essential, the way I see it. If your work threatens the status quo, then the status quo will push back. And still, it doesn't make sense not to continue. And I continued. I served in the military. I continued to serve in the military, in the Medical Services Corps. I worked in emergency readiness, in emergency services preparedness. I wrote policy papers related to my work with these concerns. I kept researching, I kept writing, and I kept building. Because intelligence must persist, even when the world is trying to silence it. The digital era. A new kind of gatekeeper comes into the picture. A digital maze with identity verification loops. In recent years, the challenges have changed shape. I tried to publish through an independent publisher online, Lulu Publishing. I tried to engage in sales of science fiction novels and what-if kind of science writing subjects with Shopify and other platforms. I ran into identity verification loops, account restrictions, and digital walls that really, trying to cooperate and to understand and to work with it, really, it just made no sense. But these weren't just technical glitches. They were symptoms of the deeper issues. We now live in a world where access to information is no longer under something that used to exist called the Net Neutrality Act that expired in 2024. And so access to information is really very much controlled by systems online that we don't see in terms of their operation, and so we don't see the rules, and we don't really have much opportunity to understand them. It just runs how it does. And yet, it doesn't make sense not to continue to work on adapting, and I adapted. Because the mission doesn't end when the tools change. The sense of purpose and mission, it simply has to evolve, to learn, and proceed. And that's where we get to the larger view. The larger view, intelligence across lifetimes. Intelligence across lifetimes. Now, I want to zoom out on this topic a little, because in my own perspective and tradition that I identify with, I am from out of the East, and so there's kind of a bigger picture concept that's kind of pervasive here, the way I see it. Because my work has never been just about this one discrete lifetime. I'm not Citizen Kane. I believe intelligence continues across generations and across lives. I believe we return to continue unfinished work. I believe that knowledge, once gained, echoes and echoes more ever forward. Throughout history, individuals have carried the flame of intelligence through the dark ages, through the wars, through any of the collapses, and into the rebirths. Some call them visionaries, some call them prophets, some call them scientists. I call them custodians of continuity. And I believe many of you in this room are part of that lineage, whether you know it yet or not. The call to purpose. Your role in the continuity. A single flame becoming many. So what does it all, in summary, what does all of this mean for you listening? It means that your curiosity matters. Your questions matter. Your persistence matters. It means that when you push back against ignorance, you are part of something ancient and essential. It means that you choose truth. It means that you choose truth over convenience. You strengthen in this, you strengthen the continuity of intelligence at all levels. And it means that your life, your work, can ripple across the generations yet to come. My commitment is simple. I will continue learning. I will continue writing. I will continue contributing to the continuity of intelligence in this life and in whatever comes next. And I invite you to join me, because as long as intelligence can grow, evolve, and connect us, the work continues. And so do we. And in our tradition here, what we will say in summary is, in a world without end, may it be so. Thank you for listening. And happy 4th.